if you want to just give everybody a little background info on yourself, that would be cool.
Sure. Yeah, I started way back in the day, 2001. Bought my first property. It was a HUD property, bank-owned property, and that's kind of going to be the moral of the story here with me. I do mostly bank-owned properties, but bought it with a partner at the very end of 2001. We put about $4,000 into it, picked it up for $29,500. A few months later, sold it for $69,000. So we netted about $15,000 each.
Nice.
Parlayed that into a couple different other properties where I started doing just almost exclusively fix and flipping. And I was doing that all throughout my time working for a bank while I was still working full time. Finally went full time in real estate in 2004. And then, hit the ground running. Obviously, it was a great time to do fix and flips then. The market was on fire. Prices were flying and soaring, kind of like they are in this market.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2008 happened, right? And then that market tanked. And I had done about 2 different wholesales of properties. Just because I had enough going on with fix flips, I wholesaled a couple and saw how easy that was to do. So I decided to switch my model in 2009 to almost all wholesaling, let's say about 90% wholesaling, and then fix and flip about 10%. So we flip-flopped that. The whole time still doing bank-owned properties, buying a lot of HUD deals, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, from Wells, Chase, all these different banks. Continued to do that. Then we added not so much pay-per-click. We did a little bit of pay-per-click, but we started direct mail. Did that up until about 2013, but I cut it loose at 2013. I was sick of just paying the monthly marketing costs, having to have an acquisition and a disposition person. So I made it exclusively just doing bank-owned, doing auction properties, whether it's auction.com, Hudson & Marshall, Hubzu, Zome, which was Home Search at the time. They got HomePath, Home Steps, and a bunch of other ones out there, Auction Network. So in 2013, we went exclusively doing that. And then we started teaming with realtors in different markets too. And at that point too, I started to go all across the country. Around 2010, I started buying properties all over. It was originally, we were in our Pennsylvania market, did a little bit in New Jersey, a little bit in Delaware, spread out to Western PA, then in Indiana, Ohio, then in the Carolinas. And before you know it, we bought in 44 out of 50 states. So we keep buying all over, but we do have our favorite markets for sure.
Nice. Okay, so you've got some experience. You know what you're doing when it comes to doing real estate deals. Now, I know the one thing you guys really focus on nowadays is basically teaching people how they can buy investment properties without having a huge marketing budget, right? We were talking about that a little bit before, buying from auctions, wholesalers, for sale by owners that are already on the market where you could there's still deals there, like a lot of people think you got to go do direct mail, you got to get, a distress list and spend thousands of dollars in marketing to get, a handful of calls back. But there's other ways to do it, and that's why I thought it would be so cool if we could share that with our audience, because I know you've got an expertise that it's different than a lot of others out there, because everyone else is teaching, direct mail, cold calling, text blasts, distress lists, but there's ways to find deals. So why don't you, if you could, give everybody a little bit more details on, what you guys are teaching people right now and how you got people getting into real estate without that marketing budget.
Yeah, and that's huge, right? Because when you jump into this business, if you've got to spend $5,000 to $10,000 per month, and it's going to take 3 months for you to get your first deal, you're going to be money's going to be flying out the window.
Yep, that happened to me.
Yeah, totally, right? It's everybody. I mean, that's all of us in the beginning. It's like, damn, this sucks, and you're waiting for a deal. And then when you finally get a deal, it's great because you got some money. You can throw some more into marketing and put a couple of dollars in your pocket. Yeah. But it's a process that's a pain in the butt. What you need to do with that, you have to have an acquisition person. Somebody's going to answer the phone when it rings and go to this seller's house when they want to, not when you want to go, right? So you're at the beck and call of them that can call them. Whereas us, we're bidding on online auctions. And, whenever the auction is, we can bid on it during that time. And it's usually for multiple days. So you can put your bids in at any point. And for sale by owners, we're contacting them. It's mostly by email, cell phone, text messaging. And we kind of work it out on our schedule as much as we can. And then we work with agents too, realtors. So I have an REO agent in Tucson, Arizona, and he gets listings. But he doesn't only just give me his listings that he has that we do occasional fix and flips on or just wholesale. but he also finds other deals for me in that market. So that guy ends up being a source for me, where he's getting the commission on the buy side and the sell side and whatever else we work in between as well. So it's important. It's really important to set up people like that in different markets, target markets that you want to be in. And we have about 3 that we work with realtors in right now. We're continuing to expand that too. But the online auction has been our bread and butter, the biggest source, which of course has been hit a little bit by the pandemic here with the foreclosures being stalled. And again, another month here until the end of July. But we anticipate that's really going to ramp up the end of this year. And then next year, there's going to be a heck of a lot more inventory, and it's going to be a lot easier to find deals just through the online auctions as well. But in the meantime, what we're doing is we're finding other sources, whether it's wholesalers, and we're working with wholesalers in a bunch of different markets right now. We're buying as much from wholesalers as we are from the auctions right now, which I never thought would be the case, but this is what the market's giving right now. We're doing some for sale by owners, and we're buying a lot from realtors right now too. So it's working out pretty well. We teach people how to do all that, and there's no cost for marketing. And then what you can do, you can spend your money on a VA, a virtual assistant, to help you basically comp these properties and take some of the heavy lifting off you, set up your A to B and B to C closings, and just make life more simple. You don't have to have an acquisition person and a disposition. You can become all if you want, which I was in the beginning. Then I hired a disposition guy, and now I'm just the acquisition guy. And I have my disposition guy, and we have a couple of VAs that work for us. So we really simplified it, made it easy, and there's no marketing costs.
Awesome. So you saw the auction inventory kind of dry up, you're saying, over the last year? Yeah,
It has dipped quite a bit, no doubt about it. We're still buying deals off of it, and there's people complaining that they can't find. Our students are complaining. I'm like, look, I'm finding deals left and right off these auctions. So if I'm finding them, you guys can find them too. It's just doing the right due diligence to make sure you're getting a good deal.
What's that look like? Because I've never bought off an auction, and I'm sure people watching haven't either. And I've signed up for it. I was looking at properties, but I just didn't, take the leap into it. Exactly. So how does that work? Just a real quick summary. You go on the auction, you find a property you like. You get the address, you go look at the property. You can't really get in unless you know how to pick a lock. So what does that process look like for you doing your due diligence? How do you decide which one you're going to be bidding on? And then what does it look like after you start bidding? Is it super competitive? Is it almost impossible to get the property, or is it a lot easier than what most people think? Because I feel like it's really competitive, but I haven't actually done it.
Believe it or not, it is not. It is not very competitive at all. Of the people doing what I'm doing, and we usually buy anywhere from say 60 to 130 deals a year, there is only about 3 of us in the entire world that are doing that, really in the country, right? That are buying a decent amount. One of them is in California. Actually, there's 2 of them in California, and then myself here in Pennsylvania. And so there's not a whole lot of competition out there. A lot of the properties are listed and on the MLS and vacant, so you can get a lockbox info and get somebody in there, whether it's an agent that you have in that market or somebody else that you can just get into the property to take pictures for you. So you can still do all that. And doing the due diligence with comping is the same thing, whether you're doing direct mail, pay-per-click, or whether you're using our method here. So that process is the same. Where it comes a little different is these properties that are occupied, that they just foreclose on, they're selling them as is. And they claim, they're selling them at 25, 35% discount. But in this market, we know that's not true. They're getting a little bit more than that just because of the competition. But it's a great unknown. What are you getting into? What's the property look like on the inside? It's kind of like buying a sheriff sale property. You don't know what it is unless you can get into the property some way or another. So that's great. Now, we don't teach people. We definitely don't want our beginning students going in and doing that, because that's a process that can hurt you pretty bad. You've got to have boots on the ground who can at least check the outside of the property, maybe we'll peek in through a window and have an idea what it's like, whether it's a realtor or whatever. Sometimes you can send a realtor, they'll knock on the door, the people answer, and sometimes even let them in. But they'll at least let them know what's going on with the property. So you can get some pretty good info that way, but we generally teach our students to target the vacant properties first. Get the low-lying fruit. And I think that in any business, that's the best thing to do. Get the low-lying fruit. And then you work your way up to the higher levels where you can start buying some of these properties sight unseen.
Nice. Very cool. So now you said you're buying more so from wholesalers. Is that your number one place
where
you're getting
right
properties?
Now. Yeah, so we've
Yeah.
reached out. We're working with different wholesalers in different markets, and there's one wholesaler in particular that I work with. He buys all over the country, or he has started buying all over the country because I'm comfortable doing it, and he normally wasn't. He's a Florida guy, but now he's gotten comfortable doing this as well. We just basically joint venture. He gets leads, he pays for all the marketing. We purchase it. We do some occasional renovations. Right now, we're doing a lot where we're calling it wholetailing, where we're just basic paint, carpets, minor stuff, make it mortgageable, throw it back on the market, and make a nice profit because that's what the market entails right now. The market's really ripe for wholetailing right now as compared to doing full scale fix and flips. Plus, it's much easier to manage a wholetail than it is to do a full scale rehab in a different market where contractors can totally take advantage of you.
Definitely. And there's a lot more babysitting involved when you're doing a full blown rehab. I just completed 2 of them, and they're like, I did full blown, I did everything, granite, one of them's got a new roof, the other one didn't need a roof, so it's just got the AC unit, but everything else, has been done, because I was trying to, shoot for top dollar, and on one of them, I ended up getting pretty close to that. I'm under contract now, but I have another property that I just closed on a few weeks ago that I've been kind of in between on, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to do the full-blown project again, which I don't really feel like doing? Even though it's not like I'm the one doing all of the work, but it's just like stressful, following up, communicating, like, what's going on? You guys didn't do this one, you got to get this one done, and it's just a lot of following up. So I like that you just said this market is ripe for wholetailing.
It is.
Because
So
I think I'm
would
going to go
say
that route.
less is more a lot of times, Mike, right? And in this market, in the 2009 crash, I had to really do everything on make it look great to sell it to an end buyer. In this market, people will take things even that need a bit of work. So take advantage of the market the way it is now. Sometimes you'll just drop 10,000 into a property, you'll sell it, you'll make 35. Sometimes you'll drop 35,000 into a property, you sell it, you make 20, right? So why don't you do less to get more out of it? Because if you look at when you're looking at the ARVs, the after repair value on these properties, so let's say 200 is what it is if you did a full scale rehab and you're picking up for 125. But let's say you can wholetail this thing, put 15 into it and still sell it for 175, 185. You're going to get just as good, if not better, returns. Your time is going to be much quicker. So you're going to have less holding costs. It's going to push all your costs down. And that's what we're doing right now and loving right now.
That's awesome. That's like exactly what I was running the numbers on this one I just got, because I got it for an okay price, but I got it for 136. It's worth like probably 225 if I go all the way, but I could probably sell it right now as is for like 185. So if I put that money in, it's almost like a wash. Like I could go out the full, rehab, or I could just do a little bit to it, get it listed, and pretty much make similar amount. It's
and much quicker, right? You're speeding up the whole process. You're doing it. Yeah. There's the ones that you have to do a full scale rehab, and if you don't have to, don't. Right? Do less is more. Now sometimes the kitchen cabinets are decent enough that if you just throw granite on it, put new faucets and stuff, it'll look pretty well. New pools. Things like that you can do to really just dress up and make it look nice enough to move. Some new flooring. You put that vinyl plank flooring down that looks like hardwood. That looks sensational. People love that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that expensive, and it's quick. Paint, put some recessed lighting in, and you're good to go.
Yep. Yeah, I like painting the cabinets instead of like replacing cabinets. I know a lot of people they got to replace everything, but I like just having somebody go in there and paint the cabinets, put on some new handles, the steel bar handles, and some granite. It looks like a brand new kitchen.
They look brand new. The cabinets look brand new when you repaint them. So we just did this in a property in North Carolina, in Laurinburg, North Carolina. We had a contractor. He sprayed the interior, sprayed the exterior of all of them, and put new pools on. We put new granite on there, and it looks like a brand spanking new kitchen. New appliances as well. It looks like a brand spanking new kitchen. So you can do that as long as the cabinets are in pretty good shape and they aren't beat bad and the pools are good. But you can even put new hardware in there, some of the new full extension pools on those, and so the drawers come out all the way and still save quite a bit of money and time, because now you don't have to demo those things, right? That's more cost too.
Yep. Yep,
So
definitely.
that's big. Yeah, less is more, especially in this market. Always think less is more. And sometimes you can grab these properties, which we do. We'll just throw them right on the MLS, list them as is, and still make 20, 30,000 on them. So we look for that kind of arbitrage out there, which you could probably do with the one you got as well.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking right now as we're talking, it's got carpet. It's definitely a dated house. There was an older woman that lived there for like 40 years, and then she moved to go live with her family. So really, it just needs flooring, paint, and maybe some granite. But otherwise, that's really it. I'm not going to go not going to spend like 20, 30 grand on it when I can spend 10 grand on it and pretty much make the same amount in profit and do it in less time.
Less trips too, right? You to the contractor, less trips, less following up, less trips to Home Depot, Lowe's, all these places,
Yes.
which is a pain in your ass. I got a full scale one going on in Casper, Wyoming. This was a 12 unit building that I bought, and it was bad. So it needed everything. So I have an agent out there. He's my boots on the ground in the Casper market, and he's managing the rehab. I pay him $1,500 a month to manage the rehab. Get appliances as need be, coordinate the contractors, take some videos and pictures for me to make sure everything's going as is. So he's my pseudo project manager for this one. So you can find people out there that are willing to do that to take some of the burden off your shoulders there, Mike.
That's cool. I like that idea, and that's kind of similar to what I'm working with now. I've got this dude he's like a contractor, but he's not, and he has a crew of people. He basically just runs his own little business of doing property, renovations.
He's a GC, general contractor, yeah.
He's like a GC, yeah.
Yeah. That's perfect.
It's perfect, yeah. He's just like, he's not really doing much of the work. He's kind of managing the team, and he's my guy. He's hooking me up with discount prices and kind of staying on top of things. So I'm at that point where I feel like I could just start doing multiple at once. Now that I got a good team that I'm working with, because that was always my thing, was going from handyman to crew that you think is good, and then you have to have someone else come in and redo it.
Come and fix it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, once you get like a stable crew under your belt or under your wing or whatever, it's much better.
Important.
Yeah.
Oh God, it makes your life so much easier, right? When you have that person, you need to have that person for sure.
And it makes you more motivated and comfortable, confident
Totally.
to continue doing this. And
Yeah,
not,
absolutely.
like hang up
When you
your
have
boots.
yeah, exactly.
I'm good.
Yeah, you know what? The less you have to do, and the more you're just kind of overseeing and managing things,
Right.
the more willing you're to do more of that. If you have somebody that you don't know if they're reliable, this guy does good work with this guy does shoddy work with that, and you're just less likely to do those deals, right? You're less likely to trigger on your deals. And that's what limits growth.
Yep, definitely. You got to have a good team for sure. I was going to ask you, are you mostly doing fix and flips right now in this market? I'm sure some people are probably wondering, everyone's wondering, is there going to be a correction? Should I hold? Should I flip? What are you doing right now?
We're doing mostly, I would say, probably around 60% wholetailing. Probably about 10% being a fuller scale fix and flips, where either I have boots on the ground or it's in my neighborhood where I can manage it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And the rest we're still wholesaling, and of course we're buying and holding too. We need to have some rentals. We need those tax write-offs, but we are going to see more inventory. We're going to have a market downturn at some point. Who knows when? It's going to be potentially rate driven. If rates go up, obviously the market will drop a little bit, but I don't anticipate any kind of major drop, a major collapse like we had in 2009. We just don't have those same factors going on, and we have such high demand, such low inventory. And, hedge funds out there like Blackstone, Invitation Homes buying up so much more inventory too.
Yeah.
That I just think we're going to continue in a pretty decent, solid pace. I think we're maybe at the peak or just past it potentially. We'll see. But I don't think we'll have this precipitous drop. I think we'll have more of a slow, gradual downslope, which is totally fine and much more manageable for everybody. Right. And we'll wipe out less investors than 2008 crisis did.
It's funny you mentioned Blackstone, because I had heard about them buying up a bunch of properties and driving up, the value in different markets, making it like difficult for people to compete. And so there's like this conspiracy theory going on that they're buying up all the properties to purposefully drive up the values to make it difficult for people to buy so that they have to rent. Anyway, I didn't buy into that, but it's funny.
That's actually true, I believe. I honestly actually big into that. See, here's why. If you watch his videos,
well, I was going to say this one thing real quick. The people, the property that I have right now is under contract with Home Partners of America, and they're backed by Blackstone. So like at first I was like, this is like some conspiracy thing, like come on. But then they ended up offering me like $5,000 over my asking price, cash price, no appraisal, contingency. They've already got leasers ready. The leasers already went and viewed the property and everything. So, part of me at first was like, this is just some, conspiracy stuff. But then I ended up getting under contract with a company like that. So it's pretty.
So you're
funny.
seeing it firsthand. Yeah, no, they're doing it. They're out there buying. They're actively buying, and they're in markets where they're paying 20 to 50% above ask. Now you tell me what investor in their right mind is going to pay 20 to 50% above ask, unless they have a feeling the market's going to continue upward on its trajectory, or they have an end game, right, where they know they're going to be able to rent it and raise those rents and make more money. So there's something nefarious going on there. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but if you watch The Great Reset, they say you'll own nothing and you'll like it, which of course we won't like that. But if they're going to do that and continue to buy properties at the pace they're buying, and Blackstone is funded by a lot of these globalist people that are behind this Great Reset initiative. So I have some worries about it. I don't know to what extent they can do it here. I don't think they can do it to what they want, to the extent that they think they can, because I think people will fight back, and us investors will definitely push back on them, try to keep them out of our markets as much as we can.
Right. Yeah, definitely. That's exactly what I was going to say. Unless they're offering you over your asking price with no appraisal contingency, then it's like, oh.
Yeah, waive it and do it, and go ahead and make money off them. Let's make money off them while we can.
Yeah, definitely.
I totally agree. But we're trying to teach people a couple different things too within our education, not just how to buy with no marketing, but now you got to get more strategic. How do you last long term as an investor? Well, one of them is if you're going to do all these short-term fix and flips and short-term wholesales and wholesales, you're going to have a big tax burden. So now you got to kind of manage rentals in there so you can get some tax write-offs, depreciation, mortgage tax, interest expense, tax expense, all these other things they need. So we're trying to teach our students how to have that nice balance, so they're not just writing a massive check to Uncle Sam every year and to keep more of their wealth, So we're trying to create a nice little network where we're teaching people how to do all those different things as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the capital gains tax, especially on, the short-term flips. So are you doing a lot of like 1031 exchanges, or how are you?
I'm going to be doing a lot more of those. That is correct. Yeah, I'll be rolling a lot more 1031 exchanges as long as they continue to let that happen. I think it just makes a ton of sense to do. Roll stuff as much as I can, kick the can down the road there, and just continue to grow it. And I got a couple of rentals here I'm going to be selling in Pennsylvania because I'm shifting down to Florida, moving down there. So I'll probably 1031 exchange those into properties down in Florida.
And with that, you have to find that property within 45 days.
Yes.
Of selling that property, right?
Right, and purchase within 180 days. So you got this tight window.
So
it makes it tough.
Yeah. I was going to say, so like if let's say you sell a property, but you had just previously bought another property, that doesn't count, right?
No.
It has to be after the sale of that property for it to work out. Yeah.
So you're going to sell your property, and then you'll pre-pick like up to 5 different properties, and you have to purchase one or multiples of those. They have to equal that value or greater. And
the value of the sale of the home or the value of the profit?
The sale price of the home. So what you're selling that for, whatever you're selling that for, you're going to be buying those things that equal or greater value.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a bugger. It's a different process, and it can. And I've seen investors out there who've done them and have regretted doing a 1031 exchange because it forced them into a property that they didn't necessarily want. They had to pick it, right? They were in that time constraint, so they had to pick a property and end up being a dog. And they're like, I should just pay the taxes and waited and bought something better, which I get. But I think if you're strategic about it, if you can pick some properties in the meantime before, then list your property and get that sold. And it's going to sell pretty quick right now. Then you can make it a little bit easier. Find yourself, doing that for sure.
Right.
Because that is a scary process, and you're just so restricted with time. 45 days you got to pick a property, and you got to close on it with 180. So it doesn't leave a whole lot of time there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely some hoops to jump through. And then you got to use an intermediary, right? Where they hold the money.
They hold the funds and take care of everything. That way you can't have any of the funds, which, it is what it is. But if it kicks can down the road on the tax burden, it can help.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Because there's a lot of money going out the window on especially on a big deal like right now. 6 months ago, I thought the property was worth X. Now it's worth a lot more. So that chunk of capital gains tax going out the window is looking like a lot heftier. So I'm trying to find, the next property so I can try to do a 1031.
Try to roll it into the next one. Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be your best if you can do that. If not, you bite the bullet and put some in your pocket, put some aside for Uncle Sam, and either pick up another rental or two, and that could offset some of your gains there as well.
Right.
There's ways around it, but tax strategy is definitely a big thing that I really want to stress this year, because that's something. Like, I had to write a big tax bill this year, and it pissed me off. So now I need to strategically plan for next year and, of course, the rest of this year. So we're moving more in a tax strategic role the second half of this year to try to pick up more rentals.
Nice. And you said some of the tax benefits of holding rentals. You mentioned depreciation and the mortgage tax. Could you share a little bit more about specifically what that is for people watching?
Yeah. For example, so if you picked up a property for, let's call it $100,000, you can depreciate that over 27 and a half years. So you divide that amount, that 100,000 by the 27 and a half, and that's the amount you can depreciate and write off your taxes each year. Also with your mortgage, so let's say you have an $80,000 mortgage and it's 4 or 5%, the interest, you can write that mortgage interest off of it. You can also write off your cost of insurance, your taxes, obviously your maintenance, and your general lawn maintenance and everything. You can write off that year. For things that you put in, like a hot water heater or new air conditioning, again, that's going to be written off over a longer period of time. There are ways to make that. There are ways to depreciate it quicker, but you have to go through another intermediary to do that and get it approved. Write it off for year one or within a couple of year period. So those are things we're looking at to potentially do, especially with that multi-unit I'm doing, where I'm doing all new everything. We're going to try to take advantage of that big time for this year for tax reasons, to really accelerate and write off a lot of the gains I'm having on the sale of other properties.
Very cool. And now, is that also included within your coaching? You guys are teaching people about that too?
We're really starting that this year, and we're going to be bringing on a lot of experts to talk about that. A lot of guys talk about tax strategy. We're in a mastermind group together, right? We got a guy like Bob Bloom who does entity creation. He knows people for the tax strategy, so we'll bring in some of those people, on a monthly coaching call to just talk about how to set things, how to set up your entities properly for tax reasons, right? For tax benefits and tax strategy, and then also what you can write off, what you can't. For us with the business, if we get a truck that's at least 6,000 pounds, we can write that off year one. So there's things like that you can do to offset your gains, which we show on how to buy at these auctions, how to use a VA, right? How to resell in different markets. So we teach them kind of how to do all those different facets in the business. And basically this without marketing, it's different. It's a different animal, right? So you need less people, believe it or not, than you do if you're doing the direct mail or the pay-per-click, where you're going to have the acquisition guy. You're the one kind of overseeing everything. You have your disposition guy, and then you have potentially multiple VAs or other people managing the A to B file and the B to C file. So for us, it's a little simpler. So we have a lot of videos within the training there. We're creating more videos on tax strategy and how to use tax strategy. And we're going to be bringing in a lot of guests to just talk about the tax strategy and bring them in on a monthly basis, whether it's entity creation, whether it's tax strategy, whether it's just certain write-offs, whether it's IRAs, 401ks, life insurance, using all these different things. So that's what's going to be going on in our education. We're going to try to make it not just so that you're an investor who makes money and doesn't have to give it all away to the government at the year end, but who keeps more of it and learns to last longer term. Because look, this is like a 92% fail rate in real estate investing business. So if you don't set things up properly from jump, it'll really hurt you long term. So we're trying to get people set up right from jump so that they're good long term, as long as they want to stay in this business.
Nice. I really like, the idea of what you're saying here. Like, it's simpler. You don't have to have the team like you would, like if you were doing cold calling, texting, direct mail, pay-per-click. Somebody's got to be there answering the phone, and if it's pay-per-click especially, you got to make sure that phone is answered and the phone call is handled really well, so that you can try to convert that lead that you're paying a good amount of money for. And then you've got to do like following up. You basically need like a whole sales process and sales team in a sense for acquisitions, dispositions, all that. And I experienced that firsthand. I was doing a lot of direct mail maybe a couple years ago, and I had a virtual assistant. I never got to the point of hiring an acquisitions manager, but I could see like all of that was necessary, right? Like I couldn't just do it on my own and have deals going and doing my own thing. And you need like a whole team for that. But this is cool what you guys are talking about. It's really good for like the people who are out there that, they want to do real estate deals. Maybe they want to do fix and flips. Maybe they want to wholesale a little bit. But you don't have to have such a huge team. You don't have to manage all these different people. Really, all you got to do is figure out how the auction system works and, follow your guideline on that. Or buying from wholesalers. If you buy them right, buying from a wholesaler could definitely work. It's just, it takes a lot of the moving parts out of it. And it's attractive to me too, like, because if somebody's working a job or they're doing, they have a full-time business that they're a part of, but they still want to do real estate deals, this is actually a good fit because it shows you how to get going without, starting from the bottom of the wholesaling, entry-level wholesaling thing. It's almost like a little bit of a higher-end approach where you're not having to do all the grunt work, so to speak. You're just kind of cherry picking from the auction, from the wholesaler, from the MLS. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, you hit a lot of those pain points, right, that we all had there, because let's say you want to go on vacation, but you got this pay-per-click going on, that you have all this advertising going on, direct mail. You have to have somebody to be able to answer the call, or when that PPC, well, that's like a $400 to $500 per lead cost, right? So you want to be jumping on that as quick as you can. So if you go on vacation, you got to hope to have somebody who's good enough to handle it. Where with what we're doing, if I decide to go on vacation, I can just go. I could just not bid on properties that week. I could just not deal with any of the agents I'm dealing with. I could just shut it down. So this is great for somebody who is working full time. And again, was me back in the day. I was doing this full time. It was the easiest entry for me, doing real estate part time in the beginning, until I quit my full time job to do this full time. Then, of course, I added direct mail a little bit later, and then decided it's not worth the hassle of doing direct mail. So it does make it nice and easy for somebody who wants to work full time, add either rentals or fix and flips or even wholesaling to their revenue stream here while they're working a full time job, and eventually be able to do this full time. But you can turn the spigot on, you can turn the spigot off whenever you want. You don't have to worry about wasting money, right? Leads going out there that you're not going to be able to follow up on. Then you don't have to worry about tracking, right? Because you got to know all your KPIs when you're doing these PPC and when you're doing a direct mail. With us, we don't need KPIs aren't that important, right? I might bid on, say, 250 properties per month. So do I want to know sometimes like how many I'm getting out of those bidding? Yeah, but it's not that big of a deal. It's all about time for me. It doesn't take that much time to bid. Say I'm doing 250 a month. I'm usually doing more than that, but the way the market is right now, less inventory, I'm probably bidding on about 250 per month. So if I'm bidding on 250 and I get 5, per month, I'm good with that. That's a pretty good return for me. That's my KPI right there.
So
my other KPI is. Go ahead.
So with the 250, are you looking at all those, or are you bidding and then going and looking once it gets closer to you winning the auction? Like how do you know how to bid like that? That was part of what I was trying to figure out before.
So that's a really good question. So when we're bidding on these, before the bidding process happens, right? They'll have, if you go on to Zone.com or Hudson & Marshall or even Auction.com, there's a list of what properties are coming up, what auctions are coming up. So I'll have my virtual assistant go in there and comp properties in markets that we're interested in. and then she'll send them to me. And if their starting bid is above what we have is our maximum allowable offer, then we just don't even bother bidding on it, right? We got to wait till that drops, that price comes to reality. So for us, that's pretty easy. So that they could be looking at 5,000 properties and whittle it down to 500. And then when I get that list of 500, I can whittle that down to 250 or even potentially less than that, because I could probably write a lot of these off because it's either not the greatest location or there's things that I'm worried about that property, whether it's on a hill or there's water issues, it's in a flood zone, things like that, that I could just write off and decide I'm not going to bid on this property because of these things, or if it's not in the area I want. So I can really whittle it down and just bid on, say, 50. And the only looking I'm doing is online, right? So I'm looking at all the different pictures that there are on this property. I'm doing, the most important thing is if there's a listing agent there, I'm contacting the listing agent just to find out, hey, has there been activity on this property? Has there been offers put in? If so, where the offer's coming in at? And what do you think the value is as is? What do you think the after repair value is? And the agents give you the best information. I can tell you they are spot on 95% of the time on their as is value, on the after repair value. They're just unbelievably good with it, especially the experienced agents. So they've been a big, huge source for us. And I'm sure for you as well, right? When you're working these properties, they just make life a lot easier for you.
So I was going to ask you, when you have your virtual assistant comping, how are they comping the property? Do they have MLS access? Are they using Zillow? Or?
Yeah, Zillow. Believe it or not, you can do everything with just Zillow. There is places like PropStream. It's easy. Zillow has improved so much over the past 10 years, really 5 years. So you can really comp. You can pull those comps within a certain area and look at, say, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, within a certain amount of square footage, and really get a good comp. Whereas before in the past, you would get a clump of numbers and you would have to decipher that yourself manually going through. Now it's just so much easier. Zillow does a great job of comping for you. And of course, you can use PropStream. There's other sources out there that you can use to comp. I think PropStream does pull MLS data in there, so you'll get a little more info there than you will sometimes out of Zillow.
Is that
but
Rob
that's all
Swanson, PropStream?
Yeah. Cool. Actually, I think he's Freedom Soft, right? I'm not sure who PropStream is. Rob does Freedom Soft, which has been another. I used that for years and years, and it was great. I really like Freedom Soft a lot, but I stopped using it when I stopped the direct mail. I'm going to test drive it again here because I think Rob has really amped it up and added a lot more things in there that can really work for my business, including comping. So I'm going to potentially use that. He might have, whether he has PropStream pulling data in there for him or not, but that's something I'm going to test drive and see how that works.
So when you said you use Zillow to comp, so basically you put in the square footage above and below a little bit of the subject property, right? And then you choose bedrooms. Sometimes you go to that extent. So then what do? You get a list of properties. You just choose a few. You choose a few of them, average them out. Is that how you guys comp on Zillow?
That's basically how we do it. So we'll look at them, and you can see the ones that were full scale flips, right? That got the high end dollar. And then you see the ones that are just, slightly dated, need some updating. Yeah. And what we try to do is we try to go with the median price. So we don't want to go to the top. We want to go with more median, be a little more conservative. So we do that and pull that as our ARV, just so we pull our numbers down lower. It just gives you an oops factor in case you do decide to renovate it and needs more repairs than you thought. It gives you a little bit more of a cushion, for sure.
Right. Yeah. If you're going by the very top one, you're basically kind of stretching yourself thin a little bit, or you're over getting the value, basically making the value too high, possibly.
Totally.
And if you come down just a little bit, your offer is going to be lower too, which ends up working out in the long run. Because if your ARV is 250 instead of 280, now you're going to have to come down with your offer. So now, let's say you comp a property and the average is 250, and that's where you're at. How would you then make up your offer? How do you decide on that? Do you guys just multiply by 70%, 60%, something like that?
So we'll do that. Say we'll use 70%. Then we'll do repairs. So we'll use anywhere from, say, if it doesn't need much, $15 a square foot up to as high as $30 a square foot, depending on what it looks like it needs. If it looks like it needs a new roof, it looks like it needs new kitchens, bathrooms, HVAC, all those things, we're going to go with the high number on the repairs just to be safe. And if it looks like it's something, you know, more paint, carpet, lipstick, rehab, then we'll go to $15 per square foot, which, you know, we're always trying to get it at the cheapest price we possibly can, right? That's what we do as investors here. We're trying to get the lowest number we can. So by giving yourself a little lower ARV, you're forcing your rest of your numbers down, which gives you a little bit better margins on things too. And you'll just ultimately be happier and safer when that happens, you know?
Yeah, instead of making an offer that's too high and being in a completely other situation.
Yeah, you don't want
Not
that.
fun.
You know, now I've run into them. Like I just sold a property this past month, lost $32,000 on it because this thing needed so many more. It was basically a tear down, is what it was. So it just ended up needing so much more on it. And I could have kept it, maybe done it as a rental. I don't like the area. I don't like where it is. I know it's going to be a hassle. And I'm making $82,000 on another one. So, all right, so now I'll make $50K between the two of them, right? So sometimes it's getting rid of stuff. And plus, you do need to have some losses, right? If your stock portfolio is so good, when you have all these gains, you know, if you don't have losses to offset those gains, then you're getting nailed on the tax side. So every once in a while, it's all right to have some losses here and there. Usually once a year, I'll have a property where I sell where there's a loss like that. Otherwise, you know, the losses are more $500, $1,500 losses. They're more minimal. But the 32 one definitely hurts.
Right. So you take the average and then you multiply that by 70% and then you take it down even further with the repairs?
Correct. Yeah, we're taking it down further with those repairs. So let's go for make math easy. $100,000 property is the after repair value. We're now at $70,000 with 70%. Let's say it needs $20,000 in repairs. Now we're down to $50,000. And if we want to wholesale this property, I want to make at least 10 grand. So now I'm down to 40,000. And then if you want to have that oops factor, you could really knock down a little bit more and be at the 35 to 40. That gives you a good safe number. Now, the best thing to do is to contact an agent, find out what the agent thinks the as-is value is. If they tell you the as-is value on this property is 55, well, then you can feel really comfortable if you're picking up for $40,000 because now you know you're going to be able to move it, wholesaling it, right, at $55,000. And if you decide, well, if I just do a couple of repairs on it, I might be able to get 80, 85, then you can do that and potentially get even more. And that's what we've done more of this year. So we've done a little less on volume and a little more on, all right, let's maximize this deal and get a few more dollars out of it. So we've done a bit more of that this year just because that's what the market is, right? With less inventory, maximize your profits on deals. You may do less volume, but you could do the same number or sometimes greater in total revenues just by maximizing the ones you have.
Yeah, I'm sure it's difficult out there right now doing wholesaling with, you know, people probably offering way more than that. Because you know, I've been in situations where I was negotiating on a property and I was, you know, I wasn't doing the 70% and then also minus the repairs. There was properties that I was going after where, you know, they weren't in bad shape, so I was just doing 70%.
Right.
You know, and still competing with other people who are like offering higher, and you know, so it can be difficult. You know, trying to get that low. Yeah, no, but you need to, like, if it's in pretty decent shape, in order to be competitive, you know, you go that 70%. If it doesn't need a lot of repairs, you're going to be in pretty good shape with that. I think it'd be safe with a property like that, you know, because you could, one way or another, you'll be able to move that property. And if you had to keep it as a rental for the short term and let the market expand it a little bit higher over time, you're good to go. You always be, one key thing in real estate is time will always make up for mistakes. You know, if you look at its average, I think historically 6.7% increase per year real estate has. So if you look at it, all right, I'm going to bite the bullet in this one. I'm just going to keep it as a rental and I'll wait 5 years and I'll sell it in 5 years and you'll probably be okay. Sometimes you might have to wait 8 or 10 depending on how much the market tanked. But overall in time, you'll benefit. Plus you'll get tax benefits from holding that property. So there's something to say about buy and hold for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I need to do more of that myself.
Me as well. I think we all need to do that.
It's like, I was thinking I was going to do it with a couple of these properties, and I'm just like, yeah, but
the returns are so good, right? Yeah.
What if I hold it and then the market corrects in a year, and now I just save the money on taxes, but I've lost a lot of profit, you know? It's like...
Totally. It's a double-edged sword, right? So... Yeah. Take advantage now. The taxes might be lower now than they may be 2 or 3 years down the road too. So it's another way to look at it. If you think tax rates are going to increase, then bite the bullet now, sell these properties, make the profits now. turn that money into greater returns down the road through other investment means, right? Whether it's real estate or investing in your own business or, the stock market or cryptos. You got all those options. Plenty of options for you. But sometimes it pays to just, there's a lot of, like I said, I'm selling a lot of these rentals. Some of them I'm at 1031 and some of them I'm not, just because the amount of tax is not going to be too significant on certain ones. Certain ones I'm just getting rid of dogs while the market is high. Right? These dog rental ones been a pain in my butt.
Where are you based out of?
So I'm in Philadelphia area right now, about 45 minutes north of Philadelphia. Yeah, so I'm moving August 2nd. I'll be moving to Florida officially. So I've been down there a lot this year already, but I'm going to be a full-time resident as of August 2nd.
Florida's a great state.
It is, man. I love a great governor.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Future
it's
president.
Beautiful. Yes, I agree. DeSantis is definitely the top choice. I know we don't want to lose him in Florida, though, right? So we need a good governor there to follow behind him.
Yeah, that would be cool to see him run. But
it would be. Absolutely.
I'm sure the taxes won't go up too high if that happens.
Yeah, he'll help with that. He would help real estate investors big time.
He'll help with what Sleepy Joe's doing.
Sleepy Joe is hurting us in so many ways.
Anyway, you got any other things that you wanted to bring up, or how can we're gonna set up a link and then we'll put it in the description so that we can send people to book a call. Is that what they're going to be doing, or would they just?
That's what we're going to end up setting up a link. Yep, an affiliate link here with you, and then you'll be able to set up a call there, and then. We have a few different programs that we're doing. We're doing for somebody who's just looking to learn a bit more. There's a $97 per month subscription fee we have for our, you're not going to get the full scale. You're not going to get all the videos, but you're going to get coaching calls and you're going to get, you're going to be able to go live when we're interviewing different people, whether it's somebody for tax reasons or other things. So there's that program. And then we have the full scale $7,000 coaching program that we do where you get everything. So we'll end up having an affiliate link for you guys because you guys are going to be a huge partner with us because your business matches exactly what we do since we're taking down these properties and our students need to be able to buy these. So they need funding, and Fund&Grow is just huge for that.
So let me ask you a question about the auctions. So in the auction setting, from what I understand, you have to have the cash in your bank account to be able to wire it to them, correct? There's no other way about that. You can't.
So you can do a check. You can do a bank check. You can overnight a bank check to whether it's to the auction company or to the title company. You can do that too. But so generally your deposit $2,500 or 5% for the most part.
Do they need to see that the money was in your account, or do they just need the wire with the money and that's all that matters to them? They don't care where the wire comes from.
They don't care where the wire comes from. No, they don't. So I think that's where it makes sense with you. So that you could do for us, they do want to see proof of funds, right? But we can get proof of funds letters. There's companies out there that take care of proof of funds.
Hard money lenders.
Correct. The hard money lenders, all those guys. So that's not the issue. So for you guys, because it's just going to end up getting wired, right? From whether it's a credit card or a business line of credit, do some things to show proof of funds. Can be done in other means.
Yeah,
we can
do that. I tell clients all the time. The teams every once in a while, somebody's like, "I need a proof of funds. How am I going to buy real estate without a proof of funds?" And I say, I've done dozen deals or so, and I haven't had to do any proof of funds ever. I've never had to provide that. But
not with the old home now.
Yeah, direct to seller. I've never had to deal with that, but. With an auction or if you're using conventional financing and you're not just doing a full cash deal, now that sometimes the bank wants to see the money in your account. But that's why I asked. So with an auction, you can just send the wire from the credit line just like you would from a bank account. And as long as they're getting money and getting paid, they don't care where it's coming from.
Correct. And if you're pre-approved through Lending One, Lending Home, Lima One Capital, Riva Finance, there's a million different companies out there. You can always have that proof of funds letter that they provide. And we have proof of funds letter because a lot of our students, we actually private lend to a lot of our students on deals. So we provide them with a proof of funds letter as well, which really helps. It's obviously big. That's what they want on the auction side. Like I said, direct to seller, you're not going to need proof of funds. If you got somebody asking proof of funds, I mean, I don't remember anybody ever asking me in all the years I did direct mail or PPC for proof of funds. They just expect that, hey, this is an expert. They know real estate. They're going to help me. They're going to buy it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. But no, it's a nice little process we have here that I think your company matches so well with what we do and with our students. We already have students who use you, by the way, that already were using you before they signed up with us. So, but we have a bunch more that we're pushing your direction. So we'll get them all set up for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I don't really have anything else. Did you have anything else before we wrapped up?
Yeah, I think we hit a lot of topics here, and we're if people have any questions, they can definitely reach out to us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And for everyone watching, if you guys enjoyed this, if you got something out of it, hit the like button. It helps us out with the algorithm and all that good stuff. Leave a comment below if you have any questions. There's going to be links in the description. We're going to include the links for the proof of funds as well, and for the the opt-in or the booking a call with Paul and his team. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, it was great hanging out with you, Paul, and hopefully everyone enjoyed the video. And we'll talk to you guys on the next one. Have a great rest of your day.